Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel and welcome back to our Premier League predictions for match week 15. More Premier League action to come this weekend and very, very excited. Some massive games to talk about and football just keeps coming right now, and to the degree that I'm watching the Bournemouth game in the background as I'm recording this video here. So much football for us football fans to feast on. This weekend we've got massive games, as I said. We've got Spurs and Chelsea, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. Manchester United need to bounce back versus Nottingham Forest. And Arsenal travel to Fulham where they dropped points last season. Can they get all 3 points this time around? A lot of fantastic games to dive into. In terms of our prediction points, not too good. Didn't do too well midweek. Only the 5 points with the Bournemouth game still to be played. So wanted much more and might only finish up with 5 or 6 points, which is quite disappointing. So we'll take our total to around 96 on the season after the first 14 game weeks. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's get straight now into our predictions for match week 15. The first game of the weekend, the early kickoff, is in Merseyside, the final game at Goodison Park between Everton and Liverpool. What a game this one is going to be. Everton needing to continue that great form they showed over Wolves, a 4-0 win, their best football they've played all season, and their last 4 goals have all come in that game across their last 5 games. So attacking football isn't their strength, and we know that under Sean Dyche. But some of the movements and set pieces are a solid sight, because what we saw is some bright sparks in this game for Everton, which they can hopefully carry on and carry their momentum into this game here versus Liverpool. Obviously, the key players are going to be that back four, in particular the 2 centre halves, being Branthwaite and Tarkowski, and a massive role for Ashley Young, who played fantastic versus Wolves. Can he do enough to keep Mohamed Salah quiet for longer periods of time? Because Everton side, it's so key they don't switch off, because if they switch off for 5 or 10 minutes, that's when Liverpool can score 2 or 3 very, very quickly. So the big key for Everton is keeping tight for full 90 minutes, because we know how Liverpool can just turn it on like that and be quickly up 2 or 3 goals. We saw it versus Southampton a few weeks ago. That is Liverpool's strength, their attacking football. They obviously come up with that 3-3 draw to Newcastle. In the end, they'll take the point. I think it was a really tough place to go and play football. Newcastle at their best, and a mistake from Coman Kelleher for the 3rd goal. In the end, you escape with a point, but you need to bounce back here versus Everton. If you're going to be a real title challenger, a real title leader, you've got to win more of these games here. It's going to be tough. They've lost this game, the reverse fixture last season. That probably ended their title charge then. They have to win this game here as a real statement victory. I think for me, once again, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Mohamed Salah. 13 goals so far, leading the Golden Boot in the Premier League. He's the man at the moment. A double versus Newcastle last time out, involved in goals and assists, involved in everything for Liverpool right now. And yes, he fades in and out of games, but it's important that he's involved for longer periods here versus a very defensively orientated Everton side. For me, though, as well, it's really important that back four, they lack those mistakes, because there's a few mistakes that crept in versus Newcastle United, and they haven't been a mistake-prone back line, but with a lot of rotation, players like Kanate missing, and players coming in and out, and the ageing Andy Robertson, it's important they're switched on for full 90 minutes here and don't make any small mistakes that Everton can use in the counter-attack to score a goal, because for Liverpool, you don't want to give Everton anything to hold on to. It's important that Liverpool score first. They want to win this game of football. For Everton, it's just do as much as you can. Cling on to what you've got, whether it be a point or you've got a lead for all 3 points. Cling on as much as possible, and hopefully Liverpool can falter in the final third. With that being said, there's been no draws in the last 3 games between these two sides, so it's going to be a really tight, contested game. I think there'll be goals, surprisingly enough, in this one. Going with Liverpool 3-1 win here. I think Mohamed Salah, Darwin Núñez on the score sheet, and Cody Gakpo continues his great form. We're to Villa Park for our next game as Aston Villa take on Southampton. Villa, a much-needed win last time out over Brentford. A superb 3-1 win when they scored all their 3 goals in the first 35 minutes, and it's pretty clear the link. It's very similar to Tottenham. When Morgan Rogers is at his best, this side performs, and he was on fire versus the Brentford side, involved in everything. Back out to the sort of left-hand side, they can drift out wide and produce some of the great runs in those channels and half spaces there from the left-hand side. Him and Ollie Watkins in a link up so well at this current point in time, and that was a important duo that led to that victory, the performance of those 2 players there. I think yet again they're going to be pivotal in this game here versus a very vulnerable defensive Southampton side that make mistakes these two players can definitely get at that back line there. I wouldn't be surprised if Leon Bailey, with his extra pace, could get involved and be a bit of a nuisance for the Southampton back line. Equally so, it's going to be really important, the roles of John McGinn, Boubacar Kamara, the pressers of the side, the energizers of this side. We know Southampton like to play out from the back and like to make mistakes when playing out from the back. You've got to press them, you've got to put them under a bit of pressure, and that's where Kamara and McGinn come into the game, to win the ball back and keep Aston Villa on the front foot and keep Southampton penned in where they're bound to make a mistake as time goes on. So they'll be equally important to those forward players as well. Looking at Southampton, poor result, 5-1 loss at Chelsea. Yet again, their own worst enemy. Jack Stevens picking up a senseless red card with his mistake and his brain fade there. Again, more problems in terms of their possessional style of football. They had a lot of possession but gave it away too often or not. Defence looked all that at sea. It's pretty simple in this game here. You need to be more defensively solid, with the midfield protecting it, the midfielders in front of the back four, back five, being much more compact, sitting much deeper, being much more competitive in midfield. And then I'm needing more from the likes of Walker Peters, Harwood Bellis, the leaders of this back line, to really stand up, because there's some young faces in there, some inexperienced faces that are just not showing up at this current point in time, and they need all the help they can get. So the leaders have to stand up for me. They've only got 5 goals in the last 5 games, Southampton. So they're not like they're using their possession to try and attack and create chances. They're being pretty lacklustre in the final third. And for me, it'll be a theme of the season. They just are not good enough for the Premier League this year. Villa obviously have won their last 3 matchups between the two sides. And I expect that to continue this game here. I've gone with just a smack bang 3-0 win here for Aston Villa at home. Move back to London as Brentford take on Newcastle United. Brentford coming off the back of a 3-1 tough loss against Aston Villa, but we know how good their home form is in the Premier League this season. Their best side at home in the Premier League, and they will look to continue that form here. And I think it'll be off the back of a player like Mikkel Damsgaard, who's really shone for me in recent weeks. A goal in the last game versus Aston Villa, but some of the passing movements and plays he set up in their previous victory versus Leicester City, the leader of assists from this Brentford side, and him in that midfield there alongside Vitali Janelt are going to be so important against a very workman-like, strong Newcastle midfield 3 as well. So I think he'll be a really key player to get Brentford forward and get them producing some of that great attacking football, which we've come used to at the G-Tech this season. The most goals in the Premier League have come at the G-Tech Stadium, and it just goes to show there's going to be some really exciting football played here, you'd think. Another important game, I think, required from Kevin Schade to try and take some of the load off Johan Visser and Brian Mbeumo in the final third as well, especially against a very strong Newcastle back line when they want to be. They can switch in and out of good form and bad form at the back, but they don't often concede a lot of chances, a lot of easy, clear-cut chances. So Kevin Schade, if he does get the opportunity, has to stretch that Newcastle back line and has to be clinical in front of goal as well. Looking at Newcastle, come off the back of that 3-3 draw versus Liverpool. They're so good at home versus the big sides, but how can they travel on the road? Because last result versus Crystal Palace was very underwhelming, only creating the 1 shot and the 0.04 XG. They've got to be better. We know Brentford are vulnerable at the back, and I'm looking to that midfield yet again. Bruno Guimaraes stood up for me. I targeted him going into that Liverpool game. He stood up, and they got the result in the end. He needs to be good yet again. The captain of the side, the leader of the side, and really, I guess, the way he leads the side, it's a barometer for the rest of the players, whether how he's pressing into and putting pressure on midfielders, how he's going to challenges, and how he gets the ball moving forward. So he's going to be pivotal yet again. And obviously, Isaac and Gordon in the final third, they were so good versus Liverpool. They have to be good yet again. They are the side's attacking output. When they're good, Newcastle are flying. When they're slightly off it, Newcastle really struggle in front of goal. So those two have to be at their best yet again. Newcastle haven't lost their last 6 meetings versus Brentford. 5 wins, 1 draw. It speaks to a Newcastle win, but I don't like their form on the road. I'm going with a Brentford 3-2 win, high-scoring game yet again, and I think Brentford get it done at home once more. We remain in London and move to South London now as Crystal Palace take on Manchester City. Palace obviously coming off a well-deserved 1-0 win away from home against Ipswich. A few results now stacking for Crystal Palace. 3 games unbeaten. Back to that more Ollie Glasner style of football, which we were used to last season, which is game management, great counter-attacking football, and good in transition. I think that is starting to come back yet again. and it's being led by the midfield area. And I think yet again they'll be very, very important. Hughes and Decore in the deeper line midfield positions have got a massive job in this game here, shutting down the likes of KDB, Bernardo Silva, and even if Jack Grealish wanders inside as well. These are the players that make the difference in Manchester City. And it's going to be really important that Crystal Palace and their deeper midfielders can really offset some of the football that those midfielders play and put them under pressure when they're on the ball, because they dominated versus Nottingham Forest just because of the space and time they had in possession of the football. Also massive games required from the full-backs as well, the wing-backs, Tarek Mitchell and Munoz as well. Man City, they got their stronger wingers back. They will play with width. So these guys have to be at their best to shut down the likes of Doku and Grealish, who can dominate in wide areas and dominated last time out versus Nottingham Forest. And as I often say with Crystal Palace, in their transitional play, a lot of their great attacking football comes from those wide areas and is created from those wide spaces. So it's a big game required, the balance between attack and defence. But when you have the ball, you've got to go if you're Munoz or Mitchell to try and get Crystal Palace on the front foot and get them some territory. So big games required from those wing-backs. Looking at Man City, their first win in over a month in that 3-0 win versus Nottingham Forest. Look like the City of old. Yes, they were conceding a lot of chances. Still really poor in transition. That would give Crystal Palace a bit of a hope in this game here. But the big stars turned up yet again. Kevin De Bruyne, a massive game from him there. A lot of really, really good football from Doku and Silva as well, who were key, improvers in this game here. And you have your stable back four back, which is a really good sign to see. You probably, your starting 11, you'd pick all those four at the back. So really, really important for City, getting the names back, getting the confidence and fitness under the legs, and just making this charge over Christmas, New Year, and into February as well. Because yes, they're a long way off it, but any team can claw back this title race. It's going to be Manchester City. It's going to be really key for City to get a good start in this game here, away from home at a really tough place to play, like Selhurst Park. They haven't lost in the last 5 games versus Crystal Palace. 3 wins and 2 draws. I think they get back to winning ways yet again, and they make a statement in this game here. I've gone with a Man City 4-0 win away from home, and to keep the pressure on the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool. Move to Old Trafford for our next game as Manchester United host Nottingham Forest. United's unbeaten mini run has come to an end after that 2-0 loss away to Arsenal, where it was well game managed from Ruben Amorim. The pressure on and off the ball was not too bad, but it was very pragmatic football with the ball at the feet of United players. So attacking football, you'd think, have to improve in this game here versus Nottingham Forest. I feel like it's going to be led by the 2 wing-backs, the usual 2 wing-backs in Amad Diallo and also Diogo Dalot, who've been probably United's best players throughout this season in terms of what they do often defensively in this Amorim system, but more importantly, supplying the width and attacking strength for Manchester United, because United are really struggling to create down the middle of the park. The number 10s often not doing enough with and without the football, and the wide players bring that pace, bring that direct running, and bring that smarts and IQ in the football. One of the 2 smartest players of the football club, being Amad Diallo and Diogo Dalot. They're going to be really, really important in this game here, especially considering how Nottingham Forest can often commit their wingers high at the pitch, and they don't often track back too well defensively. So those wing-backs are going to be key for Manchester United. And once again, United will lead on the back 3 and Andre Onana in goal. And there's been a lot of chances conceded through this Ruben Amorim new start, being exposed at times, and especially against the Nottingham Forest side that love to play in transition, love to play off the turnover. They're going to have to be at their best, the back 3 and Onana, to keep United in this game through large periods at times. So look to them to be pivotal figures for Manchester United at Old Trafford here. Looking at Forest, they come off a tough 3-0 loss to Manchester City. They're really not their best, but again, their transitional play look good at periods of time. And I feel like yet again, it's going to be led by the captain, the leader of this side, Morgan Gibbs-White, in the number 10 there. Probably one of the most complete footballers in the park in this game here. He's going to be one of the smartest, the most creative. I think, yet again, he's going to be so pivotal to what Nottingham Forest do moving forward. As I said, against a very vulnerable back line for Manchester United that is adjusting to a new system, he could be the player that could just be the live wire for Nottingham Forest and to rip apart this Manchester United back line. Equally so, the back line for Nottingham Forest, they rely on sitting deep and counter-attacking to be their style of football. So Milenkovic and Murillo, yet again, need to get back to their best, keep it nice and compact, and be the backbone, the rock on which Crystal Palace can build this counter-attacking system upon. Goals have been harder to come by Forest in recent weeks. 5 goals in 5 compared to United's 11 in the last 5 games. But I feel like there will be goals in this game here, and the first goal will be massive No draw in the last 7 games between these two sides, but I am predicting a draw in this one here. Going with the score draw, 2-2 between these two sides. Great attacking football, not great defensively. It's going to lead to a really exciting game, but a draw nonetheless. We have an all-London affair for our next game at Craven Cottage as Fulham hosts Arsenal in what is a massive game for the Gunners in this one. Fulham obviously coming off the back of the recent 3-1 win versus Brighton, and once again absorbing key moments of pressure and pouncing towards the end of the game. A really complete performance from Marco Silva's side, and yet again they are super dangerous at home, and they love going on these mini good runs, and it feels like we're coming to the middle or the end of another great 3 or 4 game span here with this club. I feel like this game is going to be really, really important. The two deeper players are heavily involved. That is Sasa Lucic and also Sander Berger in terms of covering off that Fulham back four, but also keeping compact and keeping Arsenal at arm's length. That is the key to playing an Arsenal side. Not allowing them on the edge of the area, not allowing them into those half spaces where Ødegaard, Bukayo Saka, Martinelli like to have it's going to operate and do their best work and keep them away from the corner flag right now because they are like penalties at the moment if Arsenal win a corner at this current point in time. I also feel like the likes of Alex Iwobi was fantastic versus Brighton, will be really important. A former Arsenal player. He's been, I guess, the player in the final third for Fulham this season in terms of chance created, big chances created, and chances converted in many regards as well. Really clinical in terms of assisting, finding the back of the net when he has the opportunity, and he'll be really, really strong yet again to maybe be that spark for Fulham on the break or in their limited opportunity in the final third. Looking at Arsenal, it has become a common trend. Another result, 2-0, more goals for this great side at this current point in time. It's 16 goals in the last 5 games in all competitions. They are firing this current point in time. And simply put, it's Martin Ødegaard and Bukayo Saka. Those two reuniting have been the key for Arsenal. And yet again, they'll be the key in this game here. Fulham will sit in. They'll be compact. They'll make it hard for Arsenal. The two players that can break down those low blocks and that defensive orientation from Fulham will be Bukayo Saka and Martin Ødegaard. So look to them yet again to carry this side over the line in this game here. You know, corners are massive for the side. 2 goals from United came from corners. Any corner they can get will be a massive result for this side here. So look to them to continue to attack those corner strategies and those corner tactics there. And this one, I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be really a tough, compact battle. And Fulham will really make it difficult for Arsenal. But I think I see the Gunners getting over the line in this one here. Gone with a 2-1 Arsenal result. A hard-fought victory, but a massive victory for them here in their title charge. Next game's at Portman Road as Ipswich hosts Bournemouth. Ipswich obviously coming off another tough 1-0 loss, but they've kept it competitive in all their recent games. They just need that clinical edge. They need to find goals in the final third, and that's going to be the key in this game here coming up against Bournemouth. We know Bournemouth do travel pretty poorly. They struggle games early on the road, so I think it's going to be really, really important for Ipswich that they get a quick start in this one here, try and get an early goal in the first 25 minutes and play with a bit of pace in those first 25 minutes. So they feel like the quicker start in this game here is bound to win this game of football. For me, it's going to be led by the wide areas. Davis and Clark at fullback, Burns and Smodics in the final third. They'll be really, really important to stretch this Bournemouth side. A side that really presses well without possession, but can be good at if you can stretch them in many regards. So keeping the width, playing into those wide areas there, and trying to expose the really, really attacking fullbacks of Bournemouth, I think will be the key for Ipswich moving forward. And equally so, Davis and Clark at the back have big jobs in terms of defending. Antoine Semenyo, Justin Clive at Tavernier, who like to keep the width and stretch the game in many regards as well. So big jobs for those players in this game. And obviously Delap up top. Can you finish the first chance you get to get Ipswich confidence and get them on the front foot in this game here? Looking at Bournemouth, when I started recording this, they were 1-0 up versus Tottenham, which is a great sign. The side continues to be a bit of a giant destroyer at home, but struggle keeping clean sheets this season and struggle travelling on the road as well. It's really important, as I said, they get a relatively quicker start and don't go 1 or 2 goals behind versus the Ipswich side who will want to be competitive. They want to make a bit of a scrap in midfield and make a bit of an ugly game. If Bournemouth can score first, they can get the game on their terms. That'll go a long way for them getting another massive 3 points here. Obviously, for me, I think it's going to come for the attacking talent. Evan Ilson, Semenyo in particular, top 2 players in some very fantastic form at this current point in time. They're going to be the lead to this side here. If they can be at their best in the final third, they'll definitely break down this Ipswich side. They'll definitely find the back of the net. And we've seen in recent weeks some of the pressing work that Bournemouth have done off the ball. It's going to lead to chances for this Bournemouth side. They just have to take it in the final third if they want to win this game here. As I said, the first goal is going to be massive in this one here. I am going to back Bournemouth on the road. I'm going to go for a tough 2-1 win for them. Ipswich are good at this current point in time, but not good enough to beat the Bournemouth side. Leicester and Brighton are our next game here for the King Power Stadium, and Rue van Nistelrooy's first game in charge was a fantastic result for Leicester City, a 4-1 win over West Ham United, ending a 6-game run without a win in the league. And this goes to show all the hard work that Rue van Nistelrooy is going to put into this side here. His side worked a lot harder with him without the football. They looked more clinical in the final third and looked like a breath of fresh air in this game here. Much more danger in the final third. I think yet again it's going to be really important, the back line for Leicester to be nice and compact against a very dangerous Brighton front line like the Justin, Connor Cody, Vestergaard, Christensen, even Wout Faes if he gets put in this side as well. They're going to be really, really important to protect the side's defence and obviously prevent chances, because we know how good Brighton are in the final third with likes of Matoma, the likes of Minter off the bench, Pedro, Jorginho, Ruter as well, Danny Welbeck. It's a very, very clinical, very dangerous Brighton side in the final third. And it's going to be really, really important that Leicester work hard defensively to just prevent these players getting on the ball as much as possible and give Leicester the best chance to get a result in this game here. Obviously moving forward as well, but I'd say Jamie Vardy will be important yet again on the break. And even I won't be surprised if we maybe see a change in the wide areas as well, because I think for Leicester in this game here, it's going to be a counter-attacking style. It's going to get them the result. We know Brighton commit numbers forward. Can Leicester win the ball back in midfield and then break with pace on the flank? So important they keep the width, play quickly and direct once they win the ball in transition, and try and get at this Brighton side in that style of football as well. Looking at Brighton, they do come off that 3-1 loss to Fulham. Just happened literally minutes ago. Yet again, falling apart in the late moments of a game yet again. It's really important. I think they close out the 90 minutes for me. They haven't been great in terms of finishing off games. A lot of late goals conceded or not being able to produce after getting a lead in a game of football. So really important this game versus Leicester. They manage those key moments. I think for them, that's the key in this one here. The crowd will be up for it. New manager bounce at Leicester City. For me, for Brighton, it's keep the ball as much as possible. Sap out the momentum and the feel of the game, make it a real ball fest. And that's when you can sort of take the momentum, take the energy out of the stadium and just show that you're the better team playing football and go and win this game of football for me. I feel like, once again, the midfield is going to be massive in terms of doing that, sucking the momentum out of the game, sucking the tempo out of the game and controlling the pace of the game for Brighton. The likes of Belieber, Ayari, Mats Vifor, if he's in there as well, they'll be really, really important to that style of football that Brighton want to play. And importantly as well, keeping the side on the front foot as well, pressing up the pitch, winning the ball back off a very mistake-prone Leicester side and getting the result on this one here. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a tough one for Brighton on the road. They need to bounce back, though, to keep that pressure on the top four. I think they do in this game here. They get back on track with a 3-1 win here for me on the road at the King Power. Our penultimate game from the weekend is the big one. Spurs host Chelsea in a massive London derby here. Obviously, as I said, Spurs, I think, are 1-0 down at this current point in time versus Bournemouth. They need to bounce back, and Spurs often love a bounce-back performance, and they love to play against a big side. So expect them to really compete hard versus Chelsea in this game here. I feel like in this one, it's going to be really, really important in the midfield for Tottenham stand up. That core of Sarr and Basuma are going to be at their very best to shut down the likes of a very informed Enzo Fernandez and obviously the great Cole Palmer. These Chelsea players like to control the game. They like to get a real grab and fistful of this game of football. And Sarr and Basuma can prevent that, because if those Chelsea players, especially Cole Palmer, get a free license to roam around and get a real stranglehold of this game of football, I can't see Tottenham having any avenue towards winning this game of football. But if they can make it a scrap in there, keep Palmer quiet and put Enzo Fernandez off his very best, Chelsea start to fall apart and their performances isn't at their top tier level. So really important for those midfield players to stand up in this game here. And as it is every week, Dejan Kulusevski is of super important to this side here. He's going to be pivotal to everything going forward for Tottenham this season. He's been their best player. When he's played well, Tottenham have played well. So get him involved, make him central to everything that happens to Tottenham Hotspur, especially in the final third. And try and get at this Chelsea side. Again, is very vulnerable defensively. You can expect goals in this game here because both sides really struggle in terms of defensive acumen. Looking at Chelsea, come off of another superb performance, 5-1 over Southampton. Once again, I think those two up top, Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer, will look to get at a very makeshift Spurs backline. And right now, they both have been in fantastic form. I can imagine they'll be pulling the strings and stretching this Tottenham side that is looking very, very vulnerable as of recent weeks. I feel like the difference maker in recent games has been Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, and the consistency of these two players. Yet again, they'll be of high importance. As I said, that midfield battle is going to be so important. If Spurs can make it a scrap and make it ugly in there, it's going to go a long way in terms of offsetting what Chelsea do best. But if Chelsea can get Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo and Palmer back on the ball and doing what they do best, which is control the pace of the game, push the ball forward, late runs into the box, chances for shots and assists, I can't see Spurs having any avenue to win this game of football. Obviously, Chelsea ranks second away from home this season. They do create a lot of chances. Cole Palmer, one of the number one chance creators this season in the Premier League. I think they run riot, but I think also Tottenham do get a few goals in this game here. It's going to be a real back and forth pinball type affair. And I'm going to see it being a Chelsea 3-2 win for me. They have too much talent, too much form at this current point in time, but we know how Spurs can make it competitive against these big sides. So it's going to be a good game, but I think Chelsea in the end get over the line in this one here. Our final game of the weekend is El Sacico as West Ham take on Wolves. And as I said, it is two fan bases who don't want their managers there. So whoever wins this one, they keep their manager. Whoever loses it, they're going to lose their manager, is what it sounds like in our final fixture of the weekend. West Ham obviously come off a awful showing versus Leicester City. All the possession, all those chances, but couldn't do much with it. A 3-1 loss to Leicester City on the road. Yet again, it feels desperate for Lopetegui this current point in time. A lack of imagination, a lack of real commitment from these players, and not enough in the final third for me. As once again, chance creation, chance conversion continues to be a problem for this side here. Against a leaky Wolves backline, I feel like you have to commit to attacking talent here. I'm putting Bowen up top, Somerville and Kudus in the flanks, and potentially Thomas Souček at the 10. Commit to being an attacking style of football. Commit to your best attacking line to try and get at this very, very vulnerable Wolves backline. If you cannot beat a Wolves side at home and cannot create 3 or 4 goals against a very average Wolves side, I'm sorry, but it's time to go for Lopetegui at West Ham. It's just been not creative enough, lacked the imagination, lacked the commitment in the final third. I keep saying it, but Jarrod Bowen and Crysencio Samba will have to be central to everything West Ham do, moving the ball forward, getting in behind, being the spark players, looking energised, inserting energy into this side, because the current point in time is very flat and very bland for me. Looking at the Wolves side, a pathetic 4-0 loss away to Everton. So poor. 2 own goals for obviously Craig Dawson in that game there. They did create some solid chances, but yet again, just not good enough defensively. It's now 8 goals conceded in their last 2 Premier League games. I'm going to highlight Craig Dawson. He was a bit, I guess, of the scapegoat the last game, but all in all, you have to be much better. He's the experienced leader at the back for this side. He is the experienced head. Him alongside Totti. They have to be much better. They've made too many mistakes. They've been exposed too many times, and it's just not good enough for this Wolves side. They are so good in the final third, so good moving the ball forward, but they have no stability and no structure defensively at this current point in time. They've obviously got Lamina playing centre-half. That's how desperate it's got. And I think if it's that desperate, your leaders, your actual centre-halves need to be much, much better. So Dawson and Totti have to stand up in this game here if they want to get the result. I feel like the traditional play, though, of Wolves has been pretty good. If Gomez is at his best, if Cunha's at his best, and Trent Larsen's clinical, I think their transitional play just could be the difference in this game here. They are very good in the break. They're very good when they get their head up and have space to run into. And I feel like that will be the difference in this game here. A clinical front line versus a very poor front line and a team that lacks a lot of chance creation. And that purely for me is going to be the difference maker. I've gone with the Wolves 2-1 win for me. It's going to be a hard-fought game. It's going to be a really ugly watch thing at current points in time. But I back Wolves and Gary O'Neill to get the result in this game here. So that brings the prediction video to an end for match week 15. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Do you believe my predictions? Do you think otherwise? What's your big game from the weekend? Who's the key players from the weekend? Let me know that all in the comment section down below. Make sure, guys, also, if you enjoy the video, smash a like on it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, press that post notification bell so you know we upload here on the channel. And also join us for this advent calendar, this Players Own Footmas, whether there's be a video, podcast, or prediction video every single day until Christmas. A lot of content to be feasted upon here on the Players Own channel. So definitely go and check out some of the other videos that have been posted so far in December. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy that coming weekend's Premier League action, and I'll see you guys in the video or podcast very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.